he started playing things with Japanese girls, and it was one of those like homemade porns.
I just remember this when I first moved to LA, and I'd already seen the manga books at the Japanese bookstore, and I was starting to learn the language. Like I'd already decided like that was something I wanted to learn. I picked up a double XL magazine. That's that. Is that that's the Benzino one?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about or not?
The double XL magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Like, there's that guy Benzino that had beef with Eminem, and they're going back and forth. I don't know if Benzino was the source or double XL. I'm not sure, but I know the magazine was double XL. It had an interview with Bone Thugs where they were talking about having blown up and like top chart songs and billboards and everything, and they were like crashing at people's places because like yeah, and like they said they were somewhere in Hollywood staying at somebody's place, somebody who had been on a show or played at a show. It might have been like artists who were at the same show with them, and then they crashed at their place, and it was in Hollywood, and they could see through the window, like on the couch, like sleeping, and they could look through the window and see themselves on the billboard.
Yeah.
And they were like, God damn it, dude! Like,
they signed the wrong. They got effed in the ass. They signed the wrong paper.
Yep, a bunch of people. I mean, TLC, so they talked about all that stuff.
Everybody did back in the day. I mean, even I remember Mariah Carey. This was after like her having like multiple platinum albums. And there was an interview like, okay, now that you're like super famous, like now you signed a new contract, what's the biggest difference? And she said, I have more control over my music.
Right.
This was after multiple albums, when multi-platinum albums, right? Which means she never had control over her music. I mean, most artists, especially back in the day, 80s and 90s, once you sign that paper, that's it, man. You're just a singing doll or dancing doll, right? And
now the control, was she talking about like creative control or just anything?
I think creative control and everything else that comes along. But back in the day, they didn't have any control, especially like if you're an idol. Like I think that's still the same. If you're K-pop idol, J-pop idol, you're just a cow. You're just a face.
They own you straight up.
They own you straight up, and you can't say no to them. People be like, "Oh my God, he's famous. He can so." No, the contract is like what, for 9 years, 7 years, or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And if you break that contract, your life is done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your life is done. Your life is done. You can't break that contract.
Oh, you mean like the studio or agency?
They Jisho, they own your ass.
And they sue you if you do something like.
It kind of depends on. I mean, if you're already famous, whatever, then they do the behind the scene negotiations and everything. But if you ain't if you ain't nobody, nah, you're done.
Right.
In that contract forever.
Are you blackballed? Like if you have like a K-pop contract,
of course, man.
So nobody else will pick you up after that?
No. I mean,
yeah, dude.
There are thousands of kids that will replace your spot like that.
Right.
Tomorrow. Yeah. And plus, people be like, oh my God, he's famous. He should do like whatever he wants to do. He's creative, whatever. That thing does not exist unless you're some kind of famous band
or some kind of G-Dragon.
Yeah, G-Dragon. Yeah, of course, man. He's the top
like
dog.
The apex predator. K-pop star.
No, but I get that too, because they invest so much money in you.
Right.
And then, they have to make all that money back. And not everybody's going to be G-Dragon or Psy. Psy is not even an idol. People think Psy is like, K-pop. Rap, right? Yeah, he's rapper. Like, he was the rapper. Right. He's like, he used to be the most hated dude too.
Oppa Gangnam Style.
Yeah, man. That dude, when I remember like when he first debuted, it was like this one fat, ugly dude. And everybody else was like super pretty, kawaii, kakkoi dudes, that just like doing all the dance moves and stuff.
Right,
One
right.
thing, like Sai could make music, he could rap, he could sing, and he could dance too.
Okay.
He was just ugly. But then
It was just that it didn't fit that K-pop look.
no, not at all. But
Right.
the problem was people remembered him, right?
They remembered him?
Yeah, he was like, yo, who is this dude?
Uh-huh.
この面下げて出るんだよこいつらこういうやつが Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he went to army twice because first time he was like not, actually doing it. He was doing something. He was performing and stuff when you're not supposed to. So he was like,
Oh,
okay.
so they made him go again?
Yeah, made him
Serve
go
twice?
again. Yeah. So,
Wow, man, this guy's got stories, dude.
yeah. Until then, and he was just like, But then he was keep making albums, his own stuff. And people say like,
Right.
oh, yo, he came from money. So what, man?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean,
So
if you
what,
got
yeah.
skills and you
Yeah.
make good stuff, it doesn't
Now,
matter
like after that,
what's in your
after
account.
he got discharged for the second time, his strong comeback was Gangnam Style.
Right.
Yeah, and that, he reached a level of, what do you like?
I mean, that was bigger than other K-pop people.
Bigger than
like,
life, man. Bigger than
Yeah.
Korea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, even
I mean,
like,
I would argue, at least from my perspective, that put Korea on the map in the Western world.
oh, 100%.
It's more than dramas and stuff. It was Gangnam Style
Yeah.
for sure.
And it wasn't like, this is American US version, US
No,
edit.
it's just-
straight
right.
up Korean. And I was like,
Yeah.
I felt weird, like just turning on the radio while I'm driving and Gangnam Style straight up in Korean. I'm like,
Just hearing Korean.
no, I was like,
in
am I
a-
on a Korean station? No, it was what, Kiss FM or K Rock or something like that.
Right.
I was like, oh, but yeah, man.
Yeah, it was huge.
G Dragon, whatever, X Japan, nobody reached Gangnam Style fame.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had just come back from Japan.
Right. Yeah, right.
And I saw that, and yeah, it was jarring because people were into it and nobody could understand what was being sung. Nothing. Everybody was doing the dance, and like, and I remember seeing like the internet was full of reaction videos. They would have kids
Right.
react, old people react, everybody and
People
their mama
dancing
react to
Gangnam
like,
Style. Yeah,
right.
it was crazy.
Yeah, it was very strange.
No, but
But yeah, he
See,
killed
that's-
it, dude.
in Psy's case, kind of different kind of contract, but he's an artist, right? He's not a K-pop, pretty boy
Like performer.
Yeah, he's but
Right.
I mean, he performs, he writes, he produces. Not only that he
Right.
writes, but he produces his whole
So he makes
he's a whole package.
his music too.
Yeah, he makes his
Right.
own music and he works with other producers too. So
Right.
like contracts like that, it's like, okay, I'll do this. I mean, even that, man, it's because he started like that and nobody really wanted him for his few albums, but still, he made hits. It's really funny because
He made hits before Gangnam Style.
Before,
Okay.
yeah. It's really
Right.
funny. His albums, his early albums, is one pop-ish song for the crowd, and the rest was just hip hop songs. And he just like, constantly rapping,
Was it boom bap? Like what style was it?
like boom bap, just like all American hip hop, boom bap,
Right.
like booty bass type stuff, whatever.
Just like 90s, like 90s.
90s style hip hop.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
But man, like his second album was my favorite. People think when they see Psy these days, like, oh, Gangnam Style, like haha, funny dude, whatever. But if
Right.
they hear like the second album, they'll be canceled quick, man.
Oh yeah, some hardcore. Dude.
Some hardcore stuff in Korean too. In one of those like
Right.
conservative countries, right?
Right, right.
Canceled. But yeah,
Word.
Psy. But that's Psy. But look, I mean, yo, imagine other dudes. Imagine you getting signed. You sign that paper, and if you break this contract, this is how much you have. The fine will be this much. Pretty much your life.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then once you get into the industry, what people don't know is artists. Like even me, I was nobody, but still, how many people were working for me at the label? like PR team, whatever team.
right.
If it's K-pop, you have hundreds of people
as
working
a staff
only
for sure, right.
you,
Right.
for your success, because that's their success, right? And think about like this dude, his family depends on him. That girl at the PR department,
Right.
Her her family depends on her because she's like the moneymaker, breadwinner at the house, right?
Right.
Then if you think about those thousands of people just working for you,
Right.
you're not gonna do like some wagamama bullshit and just be like, yeah, kore yaritaku nai. That's why like all these idol, whatever, like let's say AKB with 47, 48.
Yeah.
I always get the numbers mixed up.
Yeah.
40, whatever, right? You know, that's why sometimes, you know, somebody does something like smoke a cigarette or have a boyfriend, you know, get caught, you know, going to a hotel or something.
Scandal,
like that.
dude.
Yeah, but then, you know, when it's a big hit to the jimusho and to the image, right? And it's millions of dollars invested in them. So people say it's like, oh, it's too extreme. It is extreme because it's an extreme business.
Right.
It's an extreme industry, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's millions of people that are just waiting to take that position.
Millions of people and billions of dollars just the air.
Yeah, and it's also like you were saying, you know, like I felt that way working in Japan for Kodansha because I realized that, you know, obviously the opportunity I had was amazing and I didn't want to mess it up, and I was there to like prove that a Westerner can do a serialized series for a publisher and all this stuff, where when I was in the US, everybody was like, you're an asshole, like who do you think you are, like your work sucks, this and that and the other, like only Japanese people can do it, all this stuff. We're talking, this is like early 2000s, right? Very different now. But I did realize like people were spending time, like people were there until 3 a.m. at the office looking over your work.
Yeah.
They would stay up. The editors would say, call me at any time. I'm here until 3 a.m. So if you want to call at like 2 or 3 or whatever, just give me a call. Yep. We've had meetings that started at 5 a.m. and went to 8 after having had a meeting that same night before. Like nobody had gone to bed. So like, but I just wanted to comment on something you said. You said most artists realize that they're not going to be wagamama and selfish and just do whatever they want because of all these things, and they understand these things. I would argue that that's because they're Asian artists, and they already have culturally a sense of responsibility, duty, all these things that like you're not going to get the same attitude from Western artists. You know, like you we were talking earlier, you'll have people with like, you know, very low skill, having like enormous egos and like, and it's just like what?
Yo, you walk into the room like, yo, ore-sama ga kimashita.
Yeah,
type.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, yo, like, people like me, even though I understand the Asian culture and everything, you know, the industry manners and everything, still I had problems because of my American side. Right. And I didn't even realize, because I thought I knew everything about Asian culture. But, you know, especially in the industry, entertainment industry, I thought I was being fair with my opinions too. You know, sometimes, you know, what about this? What about that? You know, people be like, koyu no do, koyu no do. A lot of the times, like the artist, if you ain't nobody, zip.
Right. Yeah.
Wakarimashita. That's it.
Right.
Motherfucker like me, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool, but yo, what about this? You know how we talk all the time. You know, what about this? I think I like that one too. Like, what do you think? You know, we always, you know, go back and forth and stuff, right?
And yeah, it's just the input.
I thought that was like some constructive, you know, like criticism or like giving actual opinions. Thing is, giving opinions or like me just talking too much was already auto in Japan.
Right.
But I guess when it comes to Sony and all the post-production studios I work with in Japan, they already knew I was a gaijin. So they were more like accepting. But
Right.
all the Japanese kids I saw, a rapper, a motherfucking punk rocker, these
Right.
hardcore music people. Once they go into an office, hi, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Yeah.
Right.
Wakarimashita.
Yeah.
Shitsureishimasu. Walking backwards,
Right.
closing the door. Shitsureishimasu.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, yo, what happened to them?
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
I remember having meetings with my editor. I had more than one editor because my first editor became the editor-in-chief at Morning. So then then a new editor came like halfway through Peoplechu, and they were both great. And I remember my first editor, I had just gotten there, so like I was like fresh American like way of like seeing things, and I knew. Well, I didn't go in like that. Like I went in, knowing that I basically went in knowing I was going to get my ass beat. Like I knew what the schedules were. Like I knew, there was a lot to do, but at the same time, it was my first time having meetings with the Japanese editor at a publisher and all these things. And like the editor I had was great. He first of all, the whole joge kanke, not something he really cared too much about. So he would talk to you like one-to-one. And I think a lot of editors are like that actually, because manga is kind of different, but it also depends on the person. But, he would listen to all my bullshit, and I was like, just later on, like both editors told me like, it's easy to work with you because you tell us everything that's on your mind, where it's not a very Japanese thing to do. Right. And like, the reason they told me that is because I felt bad because my meetings would take like 8 hours sometimes. Serious, like a full work day. Them sitting with me, going back to what you were saying about people spending a lot of time on the artist and whatever. I really appreciated that a lot.
Yeah.
It was like I'd never even like, I've been lucky. I think every editor I've had has been good and has given me like their hard work. Like here in the US, in Japan, like I've been very lucky. I think part of it too is like I try to, give my all too. So if you work with someone like that, then it's mutual, and it's like, okay, this guy like hasn't slept in 3 days working on this. Like, we're gonna put some time into this and make sure it comes out the best possible.
I'd say those editors in Japan, whatever industry you're at, I'll say they are 100% dedicated to their role, to their position. Because here people be like, I do this for now, but I have my own stuff going on, so I might just half-ass this, right? But in Japan, a lot of times they're the editor and that's it, or a sound engineer, whatever, producer,
and they want to be there doing that.
Yeah,
it's not that I'm doing it now because I want to do something else. Where I've met editors who wanted to write initially, and then they're like, well, for one reason or another they didn't write, but they're like, the editorial process is something that's interesting to me, and they go into that.
Right.
Whereas I've talked to editors in Japan, and they're like, no, like they didn't want to write, they wanted to edit.
Right.
They wanted to edit comics specifically. Like they were, and again, it's Japan, so obviously they grew up with manga. Manga is huge. It's that industry, rivaled their movie industry. It generated more money than movies, at least when I was in Japan, right?
A little side note, being an editor in Japan, it's not a plan B. They're editing, they're in it to win it as an editor, right?
Right.
It's not some half-ass like, I just want to stay in the manga industry. No, it's a cutthroat position too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like they weren't, people who wanted to be a writer or a novelist or something, and then they decided that when that didn't pan out, they're going to go into some other kind of literary position within publishing. No, they wanted to be
daytime job type stuff.
Yeah. So, thing is, in Japan, it's kind of hard to have a daytime job because your daytime job is still like 11 hours, like no matter what you're doing, and then you got to go drink with everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Sleeping on the street.
That's your full-time, all-time job.
Yeah.
But going back to, we were talking about rappers and music performers in Asia and Korea and Japan, and you know how Psy's like second album was super hardcore, and it was talking about hardcore. I had seen that XXL magazine when I first moved to LA, and I read the interview with Bone Thugs and Harmony and how their contract was trash, and like they were seeing billboards of themselves while they're crashing on someone's couch, looking out the window, and then there was a 2 Live Crew. What was his name? Luke Skywalker was yeah. So like, there's a 2 Live Crew or a Luke Skywalker interview.
I remember them. 2 Live Crew. But who didn't?
Oh yeah, no, everybody, dude. Was that Miami bass? Wasn't that what the type
Booty
of music
bass,
was called?
Miami bass, booty bass,
or booty bass. Yeah. You know, lyrics were disgusting. That's probably like one of the first types of music that I heard, like that kind of
crazy.
You know, besides like Snoop Dogg and Nate, you know, and like Nate Dogg and
they came a little later, but you know, 2 Live Crew was like the late 80s, early 90s, right?
Mm-hmm. So I found out about 2 Live Crew once I came back to the US for college. So that was late 90s. I had no idea. And then my roommate started playing, you know, a CD, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, you never heard of this? Yeah, dude. Let me hear you shake the ground. Like, it's just all like,
oh my God, I loved it. I still
it was awesome. But what Luke Skywalker was saying was that they were asking him, like, you know, you guys are like, you know, superstars. You've traveled the world with your music. You've kind of like revolutionized a certain type of genre or like, you know, night scene. And your concerts are wild and all this stuff. And so they asked him, like, what's your wildest memory of a live show experience you've had, you know, since you've traveled everywhere? And then they said Japan. And this was like, I was just learning about Japan, and I was starting to learn Japanese. I hadn't worked at the karaoke yet, but I had a Japanese roommate, and like my contact with Japanese people in LA, you know, I couldn't speak or anything, but I could recognize them fashion-wise. I could tell, like the Asians that had the dyed brown hair and would wear like more colorful stuff and kind of like, you know, those were Japanese. Like I could tell that. Yeah. And then I would listen and I would hear some kind of Japanese stuff. I'm like, okay. But I would also like start learning a lot of weird stuff about Japan.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff, you know. And this, I wasn't super internet savvy back then. We're talking, this is like 2001.
Plus, the internet wasn't like this now.
Yeah, it's not like it
Very
is now.
limited information.
No social media.
No social media.
Because this is
no
streaming.
Yeah.
It's dial up.
Yeah, that too. Plus, you know, most of the websites were text only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like if there's a picture or whatever, you know, it takes forever to load. Yeah.
Right. But the one thing I did notice on the internet was like all the weirdest shit, all the like just ikareteru crazy stuff. A lot of it was Japanese. Yeah. And it was like this thing, because again, I didn't know anything about Japan when I started learning. I knew Shuichi.
Yeah,
and I knew and anything Shuichi told me, that's what I knew about Japan. So now looking at stuff, I'm like, man, why is this stuff so weird? I mean, even after living there and knowing stuff and being able to speak the language, I still have moments where I'm like, man, Japan is weird. It's just,
I mean, it's Japanese people
from
have
my
that
perspective.
Too.
Yeah. So looking through the internet, I'm seeing all these things and like all these really weird things that they weren't even memes, because meme wasn't really like a thing back then. But they were like Japanese. And I would ask Japanese people, do you really do this? You know, like stuff like the kancho, like the prank where you shove your 2 index fingers in someone's anus.
Yeah.
That's real extreme as a prank.
Yeah.
But it's just a cultural thing. It's a joke that kids do in Japan.
And Koreans do that too.
Koreans do that too?
Hated it. Yeah, I hated it when I went to school in Korea. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine, especially growing up in Brooklyn. That's not something you're going to be playing around with. So, anyway, Luke Skywalker from 2 Live Crew was saying Japan was the craziest experience they had on stage. And then he said that, like, you know, their songs are super, you know, super sexual, overtly so, over the top.
Yeah.
And so they just said, like, you know, like the Japanese like fangirls would get on stage and just he said, the first time ever happened to me that I was on stage and I was up rapping or singing, and then like they would just reach for his crotch, and he was like taken aback. He was like, "Yo."
Even
and then
him,
he
Two
just
Live Crew.
and it's Two Live Crew, right?
This is too
and
much.
they were shocked. Well, yeah, because it hadn't happened, at least until then. And then he said like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And then that Japanese chick just proceeded to like unzip him, unbuckle, and then went on to do something on stage
the whole 9 yards,
in front of everybody, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, this is wild. But he said like Japanese people get crazy.
Yeah.
And like,
Extreme,
they're like,
man.
yeah, those shows are awesome. For them, they're like, yeah, that's like a real spectacle and it's crazy. But he said like, you know, fans in other places, including the US, never did anything like that. But Japan would just, you know, go like the extra mile.
Yeah, because again, man, like these hip hop people, whatever people, man, they wanna emulate or recreate the scene of the music video they've seen before, right? You know, it's like, oh my God, that's how they do it in the States. We want to do
they don't
that
have context to know like how much of this is like real versus entertainment versus, you know.
Like Two Live Crew, their shows always kind of wild and stuff. But you know, thing is, I think it's prohibited by law. You can't have like sexual performances on stage.
Right.
But probably Japan is like, yo, like these guys are, you know, those guys, you know, anything.
They're gaijin. That's how they get down. We gotta keep up with these guys.
Yo,
it was totally that, I'm sure, dude.
One other thing I remember was when I went to Japan with before. I think this was in Roppongi too. Went to Jonasan. There's one Jonasan in Roppongi. Was it Jonasan? One of those like Famirese, right?
Yeah.
And it was me, Naoki, Brian, and was MJ there? MJ was there too. Like we were just talking, whatever. Ha ha ha. Then I see a group of black dudes. Turns out to be their rappers, and they're doing a Japan tour. And they're like, oh, this was the time they had like camcorders and stuff, right? It was like we didn't have these, so they were like, you know, videotaping their stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
And naturally, we start talking. It's like, oh, you guys performing too? Like, you know, where you guys from and all that stuff, right? And these guys was 4 black dudes, and yo, check these out, check this one out, come on. And one over, and he started showing, you know, the video camcorder that has a little screen, you know.
Yeah.
And yo, like he started playing things with Japanese girls, and it was one of those like homemade porns. And immediately I was like, nah, man, nah. But inside of my head was like, oh, this is about to happen to me too. I was just like super pumped up. Never happened to me. Yeah, Brian, I think Brian was just like, that. He was like, oh, but it wasn't like, you know, but we were all young and like all excited because it was the first time in Japan with so everybody was like, yo, like korekara ganbaru zo type, you know,雰囲気.
That was the carrot on the stick was that video the guy showed you, like, all right, we got to do great, guys.
The carrot I never reached. Still chasing. Bottom line is, from day one, I was a Psy fan. Gangnam style.
Right.
Keep it up.
Right. How'd you feel when he blew the hell up?
Oh, I was confused, actually. I was like, what is this? Is this some kind of joke?
Massive worldwide joke? A prank?
Yeah. I mean, I thought American radio, you know, stations or like whatever was just like, oh, just making a joke. Because the music video was funny, right?
Yeah.
Probably probably it's a one-time thing. They thought it was funny. Like, I thought they were just using it as a meme, even though the word meme didn't even exist at the time. But no, it wasn't. So I was confused, like this guy, because I've seen him from day one.
Right.
This you're not welcome, this type of Asian dude. And he came, yo, like, Yeah, he was like the butt end of every joke in Korea, though. Like that dude. Like, look at like these pretty boys and pretty girls, and then we have this inside dude.
Right.
Type. But then, you know, he reached the level of fame.
Yeah, that nobody else in Korea has.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Like even G-Dragon, like when they at
I mean, he's not that. I wouldn't say he's that level either.
No. I think at one, because he was at G-Dragon's Jimusho at the time, which is YG Entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah. It used to be a hip hop label, but now it became the biggest K-pop label, right? Because of Big Bang G-Dragon.
Right.
G-Dragon, when he sees Psy, senpai.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's really weird. G-Dragon and Psy.
Yeah. That's cool. That's definitely respect right there.
Again,
right?
man, G-Dragon, like, with all, like, I mean, we talk about G-Dragon all the time. I send you memes and stuff, like his video clips. Whatever. Me, like, I like him, though. I used to be like, koitsu nani kimoy.
Right.
Nah, man, he's great. I think he's great. His songs, do I like more? Nah, but I think, like, the whole, like, Gainojin.
Yeah, and I got respect for all of that. Yeah.
That's no joke, man. Like, you know, from you know, time he gets off the car, from his car, out of his car.
Doing all his, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what he was doing at first. I thought, man, like this person's on something.
Yeah.
Some kind of substance, like just freaking out. They can't stop like adjusting their clothes and touching their face and like doing all this stuff.
Off, putting it back on,
and then putting it back on, messing with his hair, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this guy is geeking.
Yeah.
He's geeking hard. Then I saw the photos online.
Yeah. Right.
And then I'm like, yo, this guy's a genius.
Every
He did a full photo shoot in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. From his car to the
free
gate.
advertisement.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah.
So like everything he does is a pose. Every angle. It's crazy.
I thought he was geeking. I thought he was like super like
me too.
Super high, dude.
Me too. I was like, yo, come on now. But yo, again, man, like that's that celebrity life right there. They say, you know, people like who else we have here? Like, you know, say Gainojin no Gainojin. Celebrity of celebrities, right?
Right.
G-Dragon is kind of like that.
Right, I can see that.
And his taste in music, I like it too. Sometimes, like, you know, it's like, there's been a few songs that, you know, people say like, oh, he copied this. I could see why they say it. But those were like the earlier songs. Like nowadays, like his songs, whatever, lately, I think they're pretty catchy and good for what they are.
Man, see, I don't know his music a lot. I just fascinated by that whole the airport walks. You know, I've seen tons of those videos.
You know what's really crazy? The whole like the airport walk or whatever, public appearance, whatever. You know why he's so natural with that? He's a great dancer. His dance moves, crazy nice. He got the swag. It's not just like, oh, I practiced this.
Right, it's not robotic. He's got like
it's natural. He got the swag and everything. It's crazy. Like YG kids always have that swag. Yeah, so it's not just dancing. Like
he's
look
like
at me. I
nailing
practiced this
every
like 5,000 times. No, it's super natural, super cool.
Right.
Guess I'm a G-Dragon fan.
Dude. G-Dragon, our homie, dude.
100%.